Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. My name is Thomas Trombley. I'm with the Windows Servicing and Delivery Team, or WSD, here at Microsoft. We're responsible for floating out those zeros and ones you see in the monthly quality updates, the feature updates, albeit for 10, for Windows 11, and for a number of other items that go out the door on a regular basis, and we are here to help you answer your questions around managing Windows updates in the cloud. So with that in mind, our agenda, we'll talk a little bit about what to expect for the day, how to engage with us, and then I'll kind of showcase some of our experts that are helping me to answer questions today, two of which are sharing the cameras, so I appreciate their time, as well as a number of others that are a part of the group. As far as etiquette, this session will be recorded, so I just want to make sure everybody's aware. We'll help our moderators. Please don't spam the Q&A if you can, and then we'll make sure that we adhere to the Microsoft Code of Conduct, which we'll touch on briefly. Just as part of the Code of Conduct, this is an inclusive workplace, or an inclusive event, so we want to make sure that there's no harassment or discrimination based on age, ancestry, color, gender, identity, or expression, national origin, physical or mental disability, you name it. We want to make sure this is inclusive for everyone and a chance to answer your questions. Our experts today, I've got Aria on camera, as well as my good friend David Geyer, who's swimming in the middle of Puget Sound at the moment. And staffing with us are my friends Nir, Danny, David, Joe, Sudagar, and of course Jason. And of course, our moderator is Heather Poulsen. So with that in mind, we're going to jump right into questions because we don't have a lot of time. So our first question is, how can you manage updates for Windows 11 for business via SCCM or MEM or MEM? Would someone like to tackle that question? Does anyone have any?
I can jump in on that one.
Jump on that one, David?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, you can use either SCCM or MEM/Intune in order to manage Windows Update for Business. And in Configuration Manager, you'll want to use client settings where you can then set your WSUS policies there. And then in Intune, you can use our Windows Update rings for Windows 10 and configure not only Windows Update for Business policies, but other behavior policies. And you can also start to use the Windows Update feature update policies that we've added in expedite policies that are using the new Windows Update for Business deployment service, providing additional controls and actually even better reporting.
We've got a couple of great sessions around deployment service and a new learning module that we launched on MS Learn. So I'm excited about those. David, I think you participated in one of those sessions as well.
It's hard to remember what I've participated in or not, so I'm going to take your word for it.
Okay. Fair enough. The next question we have is, will there be an end of life for on-prem solutions like WSUS, which is Windows Server Update Service, or Config Manager for managing updates with the move to the cloud? Someone want to tackle that one? Aria, maybe?
Yeah, I would love to jump in. Hey, first of all, it's a journey, not necessarily just a destination. And what do I mean by that? I mean, Windows Server Update Service isn't dead. MEM Configuration Manager is not dead. And therefore, there is no end of life plan for those. However, I do think it is important to keep in mind of, hey, for my company, what do I need? What are those things that I require to provide both a great update experience as well as to keep devices in my organization secure? And how can I leverage maybe my existing infrastructure with Windows Server Update Service or Microsoft Endpoint Manager, Configuration Manager? Or how do I start moving things to take advantage of the cloud and Microsoft Endpoint Manager Intune, which you get for free with MEM Configuration Manager, and the cloud for Windows Update for Business, and really try to maximize the best of both worlds, or fully move to the cloud and manage your entire environment there for simplicity. But it really comes down to what works best for you, and we'll support you along the way with all of those different things to provide the best experience, management, and compliance for your organization.
Awesome. Thank you, Aria. Our next question is fairly common. I think we've had this one before, but how do you update servers without using WSUS or Config Manager?
Yeah, I can take that one as well. So as most of you know, there's a variety of ways to manage server updates. You can use sconfig, cow. You can use Azure Update Management or AUM. You can also use Windows Update for Business for quality update management. Note the only server that can actually get feature updates from Windows Update is Azure Stack HCI, which was just announced and is available, and you should go check it out. But everything else is going to be something that we don't currently offer feature updates through Windows Update Management directly, but you can use quality update management with Windows Update for Business with servers, or again, any of those other tools that we previously talked about.
Awesome. Thank you. So another one, supply chain, or what was it, System Center Configuration Manager. Is SCCM still the best option for updating servers? Is Windows Update for Business eventually going to encompass Windows Server? Who wants to tackle that one?
Before we tackle it, we should clarify. It's Microsoft Endpoint Manager, Configuration Manager now.
That's right.
Just to clarify the language a bit. I know we rebrand things and name them a lot. I apologize. And again, server management, it really depends on you. Using Configuration Manager with Microsoft Endpoint Manager could be the right call. There's also a bunch of solutions like Azure Update Management that you can explore as well. And so I would highly recommend looking at all the different things. We're also constantly trying to improve both our server story, our client story, our VM story, and more to make sure that they have better alignment and provide you the right things. Because obviously, the way you're going to manage a server or a cluster of servers is slightly different than a whole group of VMs or a group of client devices.
Okay. The next one I want to turn to my friend Nir to help answer us. We've written a number of blogs. We've also got some sessions on this one. Nir, I'm wondering if you can briefly talk about the changes coming to driver update management in the near future, which I think you actually have a blog on that exact topic, but wondering if you could touch on that briefly for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, like you said, there's a blog, and so feel free to go to aka.ms/drivers as a service with dashes in between each word. And actually, Thomas, if you could post that to the chat, that'd be great.
Okay.
So we actually just announced this week that we're launching the public preview for our driver and firmware management service coming in January of 22. And while that solution is available for cloud connected devices only, and so it's coming to Intune, it's also coming to a web application that we built that integrates with Microsoft Graph, where our deployment service is published. Again, you can learn about all of that in the blog post. On-prem customers, because we know that SCCM and WSUS doesn't actually provide any driver management capabilities built into the product. And so, Arya, maybe you want to follow up on this answer with talking about the dual scan capabilities that are going to enable SCCM customers to turn on dual scan and gain access to the cloud specifically for driver management with everything that I'm talking about in my post, while maintaining all the on-prem management for other Windows updates with SCCM and WSUS. And just to be clear, we've built Windows Update for Business deployment service for all content types, and we encourage you and would love to see you move to the cloud for all Windows updates. But we also understand that asking you to lift and shift completely, and this is a message that Arya has been preaching for a while, and that won me over for sure. Lift and shift is not really an acceptable answer, and so Arya and team came up with this dual scan capability that allows you to benefit from drivers in the cloud while not touching on anything else. Keep it as is in SCCM WSUS. Arya, do you want to talk about that briefly?
Yeah, I think you did a great job. We are super excited about this partnership. So one thing that we are enabling is whether you're using Windows Server Update Service or MEM Configuration Manager today, you'll be able to actually specify which update types you want to get from Windows Update using Windows Update for Business and the new controls we have in Intune, and which you want to actually use on premises or keep with your Windows Server Update Service Management or Media Management. And so this really enables you to have full control. You can move just drivers to the cloud and test our new controls there. You can move drivers and quality updates, or you can keep slowly, gradually turning on more and more Windows Update types from the cloud once you get more and more comfortable with those capabilities. And I'll drop into the chat some more information on that, as well as the link to the awesome drivers, actually, Heather already beat me to it and dropped in the link to the drivers as a service capabilities. So please go check them out. It's some great information and let us know what you think. We're always looking to continue to improve.
Awesome. Thank you, Aria. Thank you, Nir. I appreciate that. The next question, I think, David, this one might be for you, is there an ETA for the gradual rollout of settings for the feature update deployment? Shown in MEM simplifies upgrades to Windows 11, and when the setting allow WFB cloud processing will be in the setting catalog.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. It's something we've been working on for a few months now to bring that into Intune, and it is currently rolling out with the 21.11 Intune release as we speak. So it'll show up in most scale units in the next couple of weeks, both of those features.
Awesome.
So,
thank you.
Right, and then for those who haven't actually read the blog yet, I do encourage you to do so. But we talk about gradual rollout as well as a start date, and so we're bringing new scheduling controls to the feature update capabilities in Intune, and you'll be able to not just immediately start deploying updates when you submit the policy, but you'll be able to specify a start date, or you'll be able to do a gradual rollout where you specify a start and end date and the number of days between when new devices become available, and it will automatically distribute and the number of devices that receive that update or are offered that update throughout that time period, so that you automatically get a nice distribution with that. They allow WFB cloud processing policy, enable some online and intelligent ordering of those devices, so that we can put a lot of great devices up front with a lot of variability that discovers issues as soon as possible, so that as that rollout continues, you have higher and higher confidence that it's just going to continue to go more smoothly for end users. So we describe that in the blog, and also Alice Tang and David Mebin have a great conversation and blog, like a video blog on the Windows IT Video Hub that goes into even more detail and talks about those settings, those configurations, the demo of those features.
Great. Thank you, David. And while you're on the line, I've got another good one for both you and Aria. So when moving to Windows Update for Business and away from Config Manager / WSUS, what do I need to be aware of that is no longer possible that I got from WSUS before?
Yep, that is a really interesting question, and it's a fascinating one because we are currently in transition in the Windows Update for Business deployment service space and in Intune, as we are building those things together in order to create a full control service for Windows updates. And because we're in transition, there's some things that are easier and more capable today in Configuration Manager that are things that we're working on and we'll be bringing into the Intune space. So for example, and when they come into the Windows Update for Business deployment service and into Intune, they'll actually have more and better capabilities and controls. So a good example of where it's better today is feature updates. So as I talked about gradual rollouts and those controls coming this month, that is a great example of how the new capabilities that we're bringing in the Intune space in partnership with Windows Update for Business is going to create even better capabilities in the cloud. An example today of where it's not quite as capable and as good is in quality updates. So in Configuration Manager, you're able to specify and choose exactly which quality updates you're deploying, including optional updates. Right now, what we have is the traditional Windows Update for Business client policies with quality update deferrals. And so security updates are released every month based off of your deferral settings. And we're looking at how we're going to bring even better capabilities to quality update management sometime in the future.
Great. Thank you, David. Aria, anything to add? David's pretty comprehensive there.
David was pretty comprehensive there. I think we'll skip to the next question, you know?
All right. Well, the next one might be in your neck of the woods. We have domain joined Windows 10 Pro computers with Windows Update set to auto update. Why are the Windows 10 computers not auto updating to Windows 11?
Yeah, I get this question every day, and I would love to answer it. Here's the short story. Your devices, if they are managed, will not automatically update to Windows 11. Period. End of story. If you want your Windows 10 devices to upgrade to Windows 11, you will need to configure them to do so. A great example of this we have talks on at Ignite is to use Intune and the new Windows Update for Business deployment service to target Windows 11, accept the end user license agreement as it's new for Windows 11, and then it will automatically be deployed to your device and download, install, and reboot per your other policies. The same way any Windows 10 feature update would have, except you now have the addition of a new end user license agreement. Other than that, it's about the same. Note, deferrals alone will not get you to Windows 11. If you use deferrals, you'll just keep getting the new versions of Windows 10, which are also great, so still winning, but you'll need to use the new target version policies the Windows Update for Business deployment service or target version policies to actually move to Windows 11. Once there, you can continue just using deferrals, but we highly recommend you take advantage of these and start deploying Windows 11 and check it out and take confidence knowing your devices won't automatically move there.
Okay, thank you, Aria. This next one, I'm going to open up to our entire group to see if we can't stump the team or get an answer to whoever asked this one. And using MEM, is there a way to do an internal pre-production release for updates and release it to collections? And after X amount of days, it would then auto-release to larger roll-up collections. Anyone feel like they can tackle that? We can stump the team here. Not every question can be answered. Anyone think they can tackle that one? This otherwise is going to be subject and fodder for a blog. All right. Well, let's move on to the next one. That was a good question, but we'll figure that out. Is it enough to configure and target a feature update with Windows 11 to deploy it, or do I need a quality update ring configured as well? Who can
I can take that one, Thomas.
Okay.
So the answer to that is technically you don't also need an update ring in order to be able to use the feature update profiles in Windows 11 and to use that to deploy Windows 11 to devices. The way that to think about the update rings, especially going forward, is that does include a whole set of policies for configuring deadline policies and other behaviors that you may want to configure for how the updates are applied to devices. And so using those in concert is really going to be the best strategy moving forward, but it's not required in order to be able to utilize the Windows Update feature update profiles in Intune.
Awesome. Thank you, David. How are organizations handling Windows updates with hybrid PCs that are domain joined and Intune joined? Who can help me with that question?
Sounds like David again.
Oh, David, you're on the spot again.
I may have just accidentally thrown him under the bus for a more difficult answer.
If we don't know, we can try and go to the next question. Let's do that.
When they're Intune joined, you can use either the update rings, or you can also, which we recommend, is going to be using the feature update profiles in Intune. And as long as they're Intune joined, and if you're using co-management and you've either used a pilot or slid the co-management option over to Intune, you'll be able to use either update rings or the feature update profiles to be able to deploy those.
Okay. Thanks, David. Sorry to put you on the spot there, buddy. All right. Our next question, how is Windows 11 or Server 2022, the update process, different by allowing patching without reboots in some cases? Do you have any references or links or resources that we can share about the technology behind that? Anyone want to try and tackle that one?
So you're talking about allowing updates without reboots. I actually think we do have some links and references to it, so I can pull up some of the starter stuff that's in preview right now and share that
Okay, great. Well, I'm going to put you on the spot for one other one, so don't go on mute.
No.
But you had talked about a combined update strategy using WSUS and Windows Update to configure which type of updates come from where. Could you also configure these tools to deliver updates based on locations, i.e. are ergo remote users pulling from Windows Update and on-site pulling from WSUS?
Interesting. So today you would have to manually do that by having different device groups that you assign different policies to achieve that effect. But that's actually a really interesting idea for going forward of how do you create those groups automatically and perhaps change the policies applied based on that. So not a capability today, but definitely good food for later thought.
Great. Thank you, Aria. Our next question, we use Intune and I have currently set a feature update profile to Windows 10 21H2 at present. When we decide to go to Windows 11 and I set the profile to that, how will it deal with non-compliant machines? Will it just skip them and will it then show them as non-compliant?
I can take the first half and David can take the second.
Very well. There's a plan.
Tag team. So if you target Windows 11 and your devices are below the hardware floor, first, good. Don't upgrade devices that are below the floor, but you don't need to worry about that since they automatically won't upgrade to Windows 11 if you target them with Windows Update for Business. So you're safe there. Now, that does mean that some of your devices will successfully upgrade and be on the awesome new Windows 11, which is great. But some of your devices will actually remain on their current version, not getting offered anything else. And therefore, they won't actually move to Windows 11, but you probably don't want them sitting there, not getting any new feature updates for Windows 10 offered. And so David will tell you how you can identify those devices and what to do next.
Yeah, if you're using Endpoint Manager in Endpoint Analytics, there's a Workspaces report with a specifically under Windows, and there is a report that shows the readiness of devices for Windows 11 updates. And those that aren't ready, it actually explains why. What are the reasons? What are the components that are not compatible with the Windows 11 upgrade? And so that is a great place to go so you can start to map and understand which devices are going to be applied successfully and which ones are not going to receive that offer and upgrade. And that report continues to get a little bit better and a little bit better. I've actually talked to several customers who have been wondering why devices weren't getting updated. And by using that report, we were able to pinpoint the exact reason why and make it really clear as to what's going on.
Thanks to you both. And I promise that that was not a seeded question. You guys seamlessly handed that one off. So bravo. I promise we didn't see that question to the group. Okay. Is there a difference between using static groups and dynamic groups for updating in Microsoft Endpoint Manager?
So in general, you should be able to use either. In Intune, as devices move in and out of groups, dynamic groups that are assigned to our policies, we're calculating, we're recalculating, we're rechecking, we're resyncing, and we're updating everything along the way so that dynamic groups work actually very effectively because they're a super useful tool for organizing your policies and the settings along the lines that make sense to your organization and allowing for devices that come on board new to users when they get a new device or other scenarios where situations change and they need to move into the new group for policies. So it should just work really well either way.
Awesome. Thank you, David. Our next question, is there or will there be a way to have the feature update made available for users to install when they want, like we currently have a configuration manager, prior to the deadline so the user can choose when it's best to install the feature update and avoid downtime?
Yeah, I can help with that one as well. And then, Ari, you may have a thing or two to add. So the way that I think about it in using Windows Update for Business and trying to achieve a similar experience is use a longer deadline or deadline or grace period value. Because what those do is those give end users the time to choose when the automatic restart will occur and when to take that update. but it downloads and installs as soon as it's available, and it's ready for the user when they're ready to make the choice to take that update and to do the restart. And so that is the best way to get a similar experience without making users have to go to a separate application to find that this optional thing is available and try to install it like you can do with Software Center in Configuration Manager.
Great, thank you, David. We have just a few minutes left. Here's a good one. If we have co-managed devices, is there a limit to the number of devices in the collection for using a pilot for Windows Update for Business? Does this collection need to be cloud synced? And I think this one might be in Aria's camp. Not positive. Oh, I think I saw a crinkle.
If David McBain wants to come off of mute, I think that's actually much more of his camp.
David, any chance you can lend us a few words on this question?
Sorry, could you repeat the question, Thomas? It broke up a little bit.
Yeah, no problem. If we have co-managed devices, is there a limit to the number of devices in the collection for using a pilot for Windows Update for Business? Does this collection need to be cloud synced?
So if you're using the Windows Update for Business deployment service with the feature update policies in Intune, there's no limit for how many devices that you can have in a given policy.
Awesome. That's what I thought. I just didn't want to state it wrongly.
Awesome.
And it's the same answer, just if you're using co-management overall with Windows Update rings or any of the other Intune policies. There's no limit to the number of devices. Those devices, though, do need to be synced so that they are either attached or available within Intune and Azure Active Directory to be able to create the groups that you're going to use to assign those devices to the policies in Intune.
Awesome. Thank you both, David and David. I was looking forward to saying that. Someone's asking if we could share some ideas on how to have single device management platform, either MECM or Intune for software updates, for software update management, for patching, for workstations and server. For example, workstations are managed by Intune for workstations and servers via MECM in this user's current or this person's current environment. Do we need to maintain both platforms is the question. Someone want to tackle?
So today, there are amazing tools for different jobs. But tomorrow, there might be more of a unification and an ability to have the best of all the worlds of management for all of the different device types. But we have nothing to share at this time. For the moment, I think your current approach is actually the one I would also likely recommend, although there are a variety of options there. Unless, David, feel free to share your own thoughts.
You went exactly the direction that I was going to go with myself. So well done.
Awesome.
Yep, better together.
Right?
Indeed.
Well, thank you both. I just wanted to call out a few other resources that are available to folks. The first one is our favorite link we put together for every Ignite, aka.ms/windows.ignite. It includes all of the sessions that we have, links to the video hub for each of the sessions that my co-conspirators / co-presenters were gracious enough to help build in advance of Ignite, and they'll be available on that page. In addition, we have a number of blogs that went live this week to help complement those sessions. David Mebin worked on a learning module with Alice Tang and others, and that's available on that page as well. So I encourage everyone to check that out. In addition, we have aka.ms/Windows IT Pro blog, where you can find some of those blogs that I mentioned. I encourage you to check that out. We often update. Aria is a frequent contributor to that space, as are a number of our other folks, including Nir. And then, of course, we have office hour sessions on a monthly basis where you can ask targeted questions to each of our experts. All of the ones that are here today actually tend to join those monthly calls to help you answer targeted questions respective of your own environments and your organization. So we're happy to help out there. So I encourage you to check out aka.ms/Windows/office hours. And then lastly, your feedback is critical. So we do thrive on your feedback. We iterate on your feedback, and we're now actively tracking on how we can get back directly to you and to larger audiences that may have common questions like yourself. So I encourage you to go to aka.ms/Microsoft Ignite evals to complete necessary session evaluations, which really help us build better sessions for you going forward in the future at future Ignites. And we don't always wait until the next Ignite to bring events to you. We did a tech community live event, and we'll bring that feedback forward to that as well. So with that, I think that's a wrap. I just want to thank David, Arya, David, Nir, and others for joining. It's really been a pleasure to have you guys join. Thank you for taking some time out of your day to help answer customer questions. I really appreciate it.